Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. It's your host, David Crayden here, and it's Tuesday, July 23rd. Thank you for joining me so much. When we come back, we've got a slew of things to discuss, but we'll start with an assassination attempt.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Hey, please give that like button a good hit. Smash it, as Sasha always said, and demonstrate that you believe in independent media and independent news that know we are delivering here every day. And it's really important because it does beat the YouTube suppression and Trudeau's censorship. Speaking of Trudeau, this is an incredible story. And, I point you towards this RCMP news release. I don't think this would make any news at all if it wasn't for what has just happened in the United States and the aftermath of this incredibly inept Secret Service failure and the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Because this isn't unusual. When I was researching this story today, I discovered that this is not unusual. I remember doing a story on this when I was with the Daily Caller, and this was back in 2017. Yeah. So, here we are. That's seven years ago now. And I recall that there was a guy who threatened Justin Trudeau. I think it was Facebook. We'll get to the story in a minute when I read this to you. But he was fined $500 and put on probation. Now these two, they're making a real big deal out of these two, and it's very confusing if you read the RCMP news release. And I'm not going to go through the entire RCMP news release with you because it's very difficult to understand because they don't explain that both of them did not threaten Trudeau, Singh, and Freeland, or not necessarily in that order. The first individual, who goes by the Calgary resident Mason John Baker, he's charged on June the 6th for uttering threats against a person contrary to Section 264, Section 1A, Chapter 1, Section 1A of the Criminal Code. So this guy is making threats allegedly against Justin Trudeau. The second individual is in Winnipeg, and that's Gary Belzovic. He's 67. The other guy, Baker, is 23. Huge difference. The RCMP are charging and accusing him of making threatening comments under the same criminal code section to Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, and Jagmeet Singh. So it gets a little confusing. We'll have a look at the news release here if you want to read it. You're welcome to do that. But it is very confusing because it's not laid out well. It's typical communications from the RCMP, which is absolutely horrible. But what the question I first had, and I missed the story last night. I was busy doing other things. And my editor at the Post Millennial calls me up, texts me on Signal, which I get all my information from Libby from Signal. And she says, "What do you know about this? Look into it." And I said, "Oh my God, is this a serious assassination attempt?" Well, how serious are you? And I'm not compromising the court appearance when I say this. How serious are you when you go on social media and talk about assassinating somebody, or say you're going to kill somebody? And this is insane. It's amateur hour. Mind you, it might work in the States right now because the Secret Service is composed of such dullards and such incompetence that you might actually be able to advertise the time, location, and date of the assassination attempt, and they wouldn't bother showing up to stop you. But clearly this is These are people who just were posting stupid things, and God only knows that they really intended to go through with it. But what's going to happen with this? Of course, this will be used, and I say this all the time. Don't go on social media and say stupid things, hateful things. And I mean hateful, and they really are. Don't talk about killing somebody. Don't talk about it hurting anybody. Because it's going to be used against not only you, it's going to be used against everybody out there who's on social media talking truth or talking about the issues. Because these incidents will be used by Justin Trudeau and by the RCMP, which is in Justin Trudeau's pocket, to silence you on the internet. It will be used in accordance with the Online Harms Act. What does this tell you? That, yeah, they're watching everything on social media and they're waiting to get you, not just for criminal code offenses, but in the future for hate speech offenses under the Online Harms Act. So you're going to get a double whammy. And even if you're not promoting this kind of obvious hatred or this kind of speech, you're going to be getting it through the Online Harms Act regardless. So here's what the RCMP says. In the digital age where so many interactions occur online and are perceived to be anonymous, there is a belief that virtual actions and words do not have consequences. And stated Inspector Matthew Johnson, acting officer in charge of RCMP federal policing. When these virtual actions or words cross the boundaries of charter-protected speech and constitute criminal activity, police will investigate thoroughly to hold these responsible or those responsible accountable. Yes, of course. So is there a lesson here? Don't do stupid things like this. Don't go on the internet and threaten to assassinate anybody. But moreover, don't say things you're going to regret, even if it does not contravene the criminal code. That's a good rule for anybody on the internet. Don't say things that you don't want to see the following day. Don't ever go on the internet and social media if you're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, because you'll probably end up saying something, writing something, stating something, communicating something that you don't want to, and you wish you hadn't the next day. But it's interesting. While I was researching this story, I remembered a previous one. And it's quite interesting. And just in January, the RCMP charged a Montreal man, Paul Caruso, with uttering death threats against Trudeau. But here's the one I remember so well. I reported on this at the time. This is in February 2017. A Saskatchewan Facebook enthusiast, as I called him, received a $500 fine for his online threats against Trudeau, which included assassination. In addition to the monetary fine, Christopher Hayes, then 41, received 9 months probation, during which time he was forbidden from attending any events where Trudeau was present. He was also prohibited from firearm ownership for 3 years. On March 6, 2016, Hayes posted on Facebook how he wished to assassinate Trudeau. Hayes wrote, "I'm about to go shoot this motherfucker dead." Excuse my language, if that's what he said. Hayes added that if the Canadian Liberal voters won't stand up for all FN Canadians, I think he means something with a FUC, and demand better conduct with the Trudeau government, I'll cut off the head of the snake myself and go down in the history books as the man who saves Canada. This is what he wrote. The days later, he seems to have changed his mind, and he's promising not to harm Trudeau himself, but he invites anybody else who wants to do it to shoot Trudeau. Am I going to kill JT? Nope. Physically harm the guy? Nope. I do think, however, he should be shot dead, and I would personally thank the person who did kill him. Now, that's the sort of nonsense people are writing on the internet at all times. And this is truly something the RCMP is going to charge you for if you do this sort of thing. But it's just, to me, the whole thing is amazing that suddenly this is a huge news story that gets reported a month over a month after these guys, the latest incidents after these guys in Calgary and Edmonton were charged and arrested. This is a month after the event. And I was reading today that death threats against federal politicians, yes, liberals, went up astronomically during the COVID pandemic, during the lockdowns, because people were angry and frustrated. But I don't care how angry and frustrated you are, don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything you're going to regret. Don't say anything stupid. Fight them in the public arena with ideas and policies. And this is why when people say stupid things about Freeland or Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh that are lies or huge exaggerations that are simply not true, all I ever say is you're only hurting free speech when you do these stupid things and you post these things on the internet, on YouTube or whatever. You're only hurting yourself and you're hurting others and you're hurting free speech in general, because the RCMP will use any opportunity to enforce Justin Trudeau's opinions. And we know that very well, don't we? So enough of that. I don't know if these guys were serious at all. I doubt it. There's a lot of yahoos out there who are out there posting crazy things on the internet, and that's all I'm going to say about this. However, folks, big news today. And I was writing a column for Human Events about yesterday's incredible appearance by Kimberly Cheadle in front of the House Oversight Committee. And I'm going to play a brief clip again in case you missed that yesterday. But she said adamantly, probably a dozen or more times, nope, I'm not going to resign. No, I don't think I should resign. She had no idea about even why she should resign. I'm just going to play it.
Are watching, and they're wondering if there are any questions you can answer honestly today. So, Director Cheadle, I have a series of questions, very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, my first question. Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was
There she
this
goes.
a
No, thank you.
colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal
Colossal?
failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible.
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was this tragedy preventable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent? Yes or no?
I have always been
Yes
eager to
or no?
come
You didn't want
and
to
talk
answer
to
the question.
committee.
We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier, Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post, all done at 5:24 a.m., 6:12 a.m., 6:34 a.m., a solid 3 to 4 hours before this committee got your statement.
Without objection, so ordered.
Okay. Is the Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee?
Yes.
Okay, you say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or no?
I will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th? Yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Completely dishonest.
Chairman, I want to
Mr. I'm
Come
going to
on.
continue.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter
Have
how
you provided
upset we
any and
get.
all memos to this committee that we've asked to on July 15th? Have you provided all memorandums within the Secret Service?
I would have to get back to you on that.
That is a no.
I think that is an absolute classic moment in congressional hearings. I have never heard anybody quite so irate. And I was surprised to some degree that she didn't announce yesterday that she was going to resign. I think she waited a day, hoping and praying that she could have some political support from the Biden administration. Clearly, they have hung her out to dry because even the Biden administration acknowledges that this woman is so inept, so incapable of doing the job. There's just absolutely no defense here. So I think this is a watershed moment, what's going on right now. And of course, the liberals are hoping that all eyes are turned southward right now because they don't want you asking these questions about incompetence, ineptitude, inability to lead, about Justin Trudeau. They want you they don't mind if you ask these questions about Joe Biden because Justin Trudeau knew a long time ago, just like everybody else around Joe Biden, that this man was going to be incapable of running for a second term. I don't even know if he can serve out the remaining 3 months or so of this term. Justin Trudeau knew he wasn't going to run again. So they're all playing this game. They're all involved in this together because they know that as long as you're focused on US politics, and of course we have to be because this is world shaking events, Justin Trudeau can go vacation on Vancouver Island. He can disappear. He can stop talking about what's happening. And strangely enough, an RCMP news release issued over 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, can be discovered by the national media, and suddenly there's an assassination attempt in the works against Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland, who Justin Trudeau was on the verge of kicking out of cabinet. So when I first heard about this, I said this, I really am finding it difficult to take this ruckus on social media seriously. And now I understand why. And if you look at what happened with Kimberly Cheadle in terms of the Secret Service being that incompetent that an assassin can just walk on to a Trump rally, climb a ladder, get on top of the roof with a rifle, get in prone position, and get ready to shoot without anybody trying to stop him, then you must also realize that Joe Biden got away with the I'm the sharpest tack in the box routine for 3.5 years when he was clearly at times completely incomprehensible, completely unable to discern reality, finding people in crowds that weren't there or who had been deceased for years. This had been going on for 3.5 years. The national media knew it. They covered it up. They lied about it. And suddenly, oh, he's incompetent. He won't be able to run for a second term. And time to change the channel. Just like suddenly, oh, Cheadle? Yeah, she needs to resign. Yesterday, she still had it. But no, today, it's all over. And that to me is playing this political game. Do I think, this is a question I've been asked repeatedly, do I think Kamala Harris is going to be the Democratic nominee? No, I don't. I think we're playing this game again. We're playing this game about building her up just to see if it sticks, just to see if this is going to be sufficient, if she's going to have the numbers. Just remember, she was the most unpopular vice president in history for as far back as polls were taken, as far back as popularity levels, approval ratings were taken for vice presidents. She had an incredibly low favorability rate. And she's done nothing since then except screw up the one job she was given as border czar. Sure couldn't handle that one, could she? As she watched tens of millions of people walk into the United States and be dispersed around the country. You know, you'd almost think it was incompetence, or was it an inside job? Was that exactly what the government wanted? Of course, this was the policy. And the Biden administration deliberately subverted the work of the Customs and Border Patrol on the US Mexico border, deliberately overruled what they were trying to do to preserve some sanity at the border, to preserve some order and avoid the chaos. The Biden administration deliberately subverted the work of the Customs and Border Patrol, deliberately allowed in 25 to 45 million illegal aliens, and then started flying them around the country to wherever they wanted to live. That was the plan. But just blame it on incompetence. So I think what happened at the Trump rally was a combination of incompetence and inside knowledge, inside job. Somebody wanted this to happen very badly. Just too many coincidences, too many things that just seem to happen accidentally for this to be anything else but a job that was planned beforehand, not just by some 20-year-old Dungeons and Dragons player, but by some of the higher authorities, I believe, in the Biden administration were aware of this clearly. Now, I want to run to a third story here before we go, and this is very personal. But this is a very courageous comments from Elon Musk about the whole transgender phenomena. And here he is talking to a Canadian. It will be quite evident in a minute who that is.
It wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
all right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
Yeah, I can relate to that, and I know how it feels. I have a member of my family who made that decision a few years back. It was an utter shock to me. It was a completely unexpected announcement, and I did not understand how powerful these forces were that were actively trying to shape the mind of this young person. And I did not understand how insidious and how ominous this threat was. And that's why I have been a staunch critic, a stalwart critic of gender ideology ever since, because I personally understand what's going on here. I personally understand this is a war against not just the bodies of children, not just against their bodies, forcing them to make changes that can be completely irreversible, or that can lead them to a lifetime reliance on drugs, or can absolutely destroy them. This is a war on their minds, and that's every time Justin Trudeau stands up, every time any of his cabinet dares to stand up and say that they are defending or protecting children, I can't laugh anymore because I know this is evil incarnate. These people are evil. They have no concern for anyone's children. All they care about is pushing their ideology, cementing gender identity politics, and destroying the lives of children. And this is what the woke ideology is doing. This is what it's all about. This is what it'll continue to do until parents continue to rally and take back their children, and we take back this country. So this has been I'm not going to say anything more about this right now. I understand how Elon Musk feels very, very precisely. And I understand why he says, I'm going to fight back. I'm going to continue to fight back. That's why he moved his company out of California. Because in California, parents have no rights in the classroom. And that's what's going on there. Thanks for watching, folks. We love you here. God bless you all. And thank you for watching. And I'll be back again. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the KRAYDEN resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there. And it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist